Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Do not adjust your digital device. What you are about to see and hear may shock and appall you. Join our hosts as they encounter countless thrills, spills, chills, and hilarity as they explore the very weirdest in pop culture. The following media is so strange, so beyond the scope of what is normal, it will make you ask the question, why does this exist? Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Why Does This Exist? I'm Chris.
And I'm Rob.
And we apologize for the last couple of weeks. We have not really been able to put out much content just because we've both been sick. I've been sick since, Thanksgiving. And, whatever's going around is going the hell around.
I've been sick since last week, so...
Oh, yeah.
You can still hear it. Yeah.
All right. So, long story short, we are Why Does This Exist? We are a podcast that talks about the very weirdest in pop culture, whether it's a Christmas special like we are about to do, or, beloved gaming consoles like we just did, or some strange movies like we did before that, and anything else for that matter. We've been around for quite some time, so you know what you need to know. All the stuff is in the descriptions and everything, and that's all you really need to do. Give us money or support us on YouTube or whatever the hell it is that you people do. That's the news. Here's the weather. You are now about to witness the true strength of street knowledge from a ragtag group of rogues, so let's get on with the goddamn show. Today we are talking about Frosty the Snowman. It's my favorite Christmas special, and it might be yours too. I'm really not sure.
I was like Rudolph.
By you, I mean the general people. But you specifically, what is your favorite?
I would say Rudolph is probably my favorite. Or no, what's the one with freaking Snow Miser? Was that Santa Claus is coming to town or Year Without a Santa Claus?
That's the Year Without a Santa Claus.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, actually, funny story about that. I liked the Snow Miser character quite a bit. Where so every year in like the talent show for school, which let's use that term very loosely, because it's just a bunch of like fifth graders and stuff and below. But for one specific year, for some reason I wanted to do the Snow Miser one. Now most people, when they were auditioning for the talent show, they didn't have a real audition plan. They just kind of went down and like made something up on the spot and just like knew that they weren't going to get into the talent show and like just did it to go miss class, which was great for everybody. This particular year, I decided I wanted to be in the talent show, so I picked the Snow Miser thing. I did a whole routine and everything, and my mom made the costume, and she was excited for me to do it. And I get down to the thing, and I start up the recording of the song, and I start singing it and about like a third of the way through the song, I realize this is really stupid, and I'm going to be doing this in front of 1 million people, and I'm going to be embarrassed, and this is actually the terrible idea. So I decided not to do it at all, and my mom was upset because she made the Snow Miser costume, and I was like, no. So that's the end of that chapter. Really, what an anticlimactic story, Chris. Can you talk about Frosty? Yeah, I guess we can. If you haven't seen Frosty the Snowman, it comes from the silly little tune about a magical snowman who comes to life and takes the children through the town, and they sing and have a grand old time, and that's about it. And he decides to come back again on Christmas Day. this special, of course, expands on that. And if we want to get into that a little bit, they first put this on in 1969. So they put it right after A Charlie Brown Christmas. Both of them, did fantastic numbers, and then they started airing Frosty every year until 2023, and
It was
now you can kind of just watch it on anything. Like
so
I watched it on Disney Plus this year.
yeah, so did I. Or did I watch it on Hulu? I watched it on Hulu.
I mean, Disney
Um,
owns them both, so it doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Um, it's important to note that it's a Rankin Bass production, and they did pretty much all of the like classic Christmas specials
Yes,
from
they had a monopoly on the Christmas special market.
yeah, yeah. They did Rudolph, all the stop motion ones like Rudolph and Santa Claus is Coming to Town. They did Frosty. They've done a ton of like animated and stop motion movies, including the 1977 Hobbit film and
Oh, I didn't know they did that.
yeah, and the 1980 Return of the King animated film. They also did The Last Unicorn is one of their most famous films, which a lot of kids watched when they were growing up. But Rankin Bass is pretty iconic
Hmm.
in classic animation. But obviously not can't hold a candle to Disney, but still pretty up there, especially with the holiday specials.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would say they like influenced as many childhoods as Disney probably has
Oh,
in
definitely, yeah.
some
I
way. I
mean,
mean,
I think everybody I knew and myself included watched the holiday specials on. I think they were always on like Channel 7 growing up.
yeah, something
We
like that.
watched all of them, like Rudolph, Frosty, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Year Without a Santa Claus. That we watched them all,
Yeah.
and they're not long. They're episode like TV episodes, so 22 minutes long, but they pack a lot of story into those 22 minutes, especially with
Oh
Frosty.
yeah. Oh yeah. Like the storytelling that company had was like really impeccable for the time frame that they could
Yeah.
do it in.
I also think that, in a lot of ways, Frosty might be like one of the early like multimedia projects where it had like multiple things, because like obviously you have the song Frosty the Snowman, which is featured in the show. You have the show itself. I mean, there were books, everything. Like
Yeah.
it was really a multimedia project, and all of, I think, Rankin Bass's productions were in some way, because you had Santa Claus is Coming to Town, also a song, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, also a song.
Yep.
You had, especially with those like Rudolph, you had like pretty star-studded cast for the time. With what was his name? Bert Ives or whatever. What is his name?
You mean
Uh
Burl Ives?
Burl Ives, that's it. Burl
Yeah.
Ives, the guy who plays the narrator and the snowman and that. Uh and Frosty also, I believe, had uh Jimmy Durante, who was a comedian,
That
actor,
was
singer, pianist.
that was his last role, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it was quite a production, and I don't
I mean,
know.
Rankin Bass lasted a while too. Like
Oh yeah, they were
they went
well
on
up into the
until
90s.
no, to they dissolved in 2002 actually, like late 2002.
Yeah.
So like long freaking time. Like they went defunct as a company in like 1987, but they like the partnership officially dissolved in 2002 because I think they got like passed around or turned into some other studios. What was it here? Bu- 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 um yeah, there was this fellow Topcraft that they had that they had ended up like they basically what is his name? Yeah, Topcraft was like the main company, but um, it ended up dissolving in a way, and like somebody had I think somebody had passed away who like was like a big player on Topcraft, and then like they kind of dissolved, and Rankin Bass titles kind of still existed for a little bit.
Yeah.
Then Disney bought the other studio, Pacific Animation Corporation, and it ended up kind of existing in like a shell form, I guess you could say, where like they would still produce some things under that name, but not really. And then, and eventually it just became whatever it's become now, and just like, strip for parts, and like the rights of certain like things were like owned by somebody else or whatever, and then eventually it goes to like Disney.
Yeah.
Like everything else seems to. But we could do a history of the Rankin Bass Company at some other time. But for Frosty, it was, like you said, it was definitely an early Christmas special, because
It was one of the earlier
it
ones.
was 1969, like we said.
Yeah, 69. Rudolph was the first one that came out in 64. And Little Drummer Boy came out in 68.
Yeah, and
Uh,
Charlie Brown Christmas was 65.
yeah. Well, I was talking just the Rankin Bass productions.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah.
I thought you meant like in terms of Christmas specials.
No, just the Rankin Bass ones. But Charlie Brown was obviously another early one. They also did Return to Oz, which was interesting. Um,
ET is Ryan Seacrest here. People always say it's good to unwind, but that's easier said than done. The exception, Chumba Casino. They actually make it easier done than said, or at least the same. Chumba Casino is an online social casino with hundreds of casino-style games like slots and blackjack. Play for fun. Play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Sign up now and collect your free welcome bonus at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
it was a sequel to The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's actually not. It has been. I've watched something for it. I think there was like a nostalgia critic thing for it a long time ago. It was not very good.
Yeah, it was. I think it was very bizarre, but
Yes.
again, that was the 60s. So,
Yeah.
but Frosty was always pretty iconic, and obviously, I'm not going to go super deep into the plot because everybody, if you've listened to the song, you know what the plot is. I mean, I'm sure like 95% of the people listening to this podcast have seen the special. But basically, as a schoolhouse on Christmas Eve, they're having a Christmas party, and they have this magician, Professor Henkel, show up to entertain the children, and he's completely inept, doesn't know how to do anything.
The poor
but
man is cross-eyed, for God's sake.
Yeah,
It's not his fault. He's trying.
but they do find out that his hat is actually magic. And the kids are dismissed from class. They go outside and it's snowing, so they build a snowman. I want to point out.
Sorry, you might want to point out the same thing that I might want to point out. So you talk first.
Well, I wanted to point out it's the dead of winter here, obviously, because it's Christmas Eve, and all the children are wearing either shorts or short skirts. So they have very irresponsible parents, obviously.
Oh, trust me. It seems like the adults in that town are also irresponsible, and it's kind of unclear as to how any of them survived and how the children managed to survive.
Well, Karen almost doesn't. Karen is our main character.
Well, yes. I mean, also, like, just the parents don't even try to pick the kids up at school.
Well,
and these are like younger kids. I mean, I get it's a small
60s,
town.
And it was the 60s.
Also
kids
true.
Kids just really, back then kids were feral. You just fucking did whatever you want, basically.
Yeah.
As long as you got home before the street lights came on.
Well, the thing that I was gonna say is just like Professor Hinkle gets booed, and like the whole time they make it out like he's this like awful magician and he can't like make magic and everything, and he thinks his hat is junk, but like he still manages to get Hocus Pocus out of the hat. Like he still manages to do the quintessential magician trick. Yeah. And like no one seems to care that he was able to get this rabbit out. And to be honest, if you look at Hocus Pocus's eyes the entire time, I'm pretty sure that he's stoned. And that's why it takes him so long to get out of the hat. Because, like, he doesn't even, like, sell the injury of, like, being thrown against, like, a trash bin at, like, however, like, fast the Professor Hinkle like throws, and it seems like he's got a cannon on him.
Well,
So
it was
like,
the 60s.
yeah. So I don't know if you just had tougher rabbits back then, or if like Hocus Pocus is just like so like zonked out of his mind that he's just like, and like just kind of he even like walks like a stoner. Like
Yeah.
he has like a very slothy walk to him, and well, we'll get to other like Frosty theories later because I've got a case for this fucking snowman.
All
But
right.
um,
I have
but
an interesting theory too.
but Professor Hinkle like causes like I think Professor Hinkle just has very low self-esteem. And I
Yeah.
think he actually can perform magic tricks because he can get the rabbit out of the hat. And
Yeah.
I think he can do it. But I think he's just kind of lost his way, and I don't know. He is a little yellow, so what if he's got an H problem?
Maybe he's jaundiced.
That's what I'm saying. What if in the magician community they like to dabble in heroin? I don't know.
Maybe he's a jazz musician in his part-time.
Maybe he is a jazz musician. That might also track for being a magician during the day. He might like moonlight as he might be his day job might be a magician, but he might be a jazz musician. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't really get the scope of this, and we're painted to make it seem like, well, Professor Hinkle is painted like a villain, but I think he's just misunderstood, to be honest with
I
you.
think he's pretty much a villain. He fucking locks Frosty in a friggin' hot greenhouse, knowing fully well it's gonna kill him. That's pretty villainous behavior. He also looks like the stereotypical like meh villain who was gonna tie you to the railroad tracks.
But once again, I think he's misunderstood.
Uh, it's pretty. I mean, premeditated murder is pretty hard to be misunderstood about.
I don't think that it's as black and white as it appears. I think you have to read between the lines. But
I mean, it's pretty black and white.
Oh no, we'll get to that later. But I do think that Professor Hinkle is misunderstood.
Anyway, so we find out that the hat is actually magic, and as the kids are building a snowman, they put the hat on because it blew away, just as as a hat, and Frosty comes to life. And so Hinkle sees this and is like immediately like, "Oh shit, the hat is magic. I need that hat back." But through like a various misadventures and probably some kind of karmic justice, the hat gets back on Frosty's head, and Frosty comes to life. And he starts playing with the children and whatever. It's a magic
But I think
snowman.
seeing that the hat really like is magical, that like, or at least believing that it's magical, I think that gives him like a boost of confidence. And then he's just like, oh no, like I understand that possession is 9/10 of the law, but Frosty is he is still a snowman. So,
But he's
like,
a sentient snowman.
well,
Where do you draw the line?
well, my theory is that it's not necessarily the hat that is magic, but I think it's the Christmas snow that is actually magic, and that Frosty has come to life before, but maybe not in this form.
Maybe. But,
Maybe.
I mean, he only comes to life when he puts the hat on, and when the hat is taken off of him, he turns back into a regular snowman.
Is that a ruse?
I don't know.
Is this part of Frosty's game? You see where I'm going with this. I'll elaborate on that later.
All right. So the temperature starts to rise, and Frosty starts to naturally melt because he's made of snow. And they decide that, he has to go to the North Pole because that's where he'll be able to live forever, basically, until global warming hits him. But we'll get to that later on. Anyway, so the plan is to get him to take a train to town, which I don't know why they have a train that has stops at the North Pole, but whatever, we're not going to question it. So they get to town, and the ticket is like some exorbitant fee. It's like $9,000 or something, or over 9,000. And
Dragon Ball Z ticket?
Yeah, exactly. What does the ticket say about its power level? So they can't afford to send him. So they decide instead that Frosty should just stow away on the refrigerator car of the freight train. And for some reason, Karen also decides to go, even though, she's a child. And
Very
again,
dumb child.
unsupervised, completely unsupervised children in this town, just hopping on freight trains and freaking traveling around like hobos. So she jumps on, and they're going along, and the car's filled with ice cream and Christmas cakes. And of course, the professor's like following them the whole time because he wants to reclaim the hat. But and as they're going along, Karen starts to get hypothermia because she's freaking like wearing a skirt and not really properly dressed for the winter, let alone the North Pole's winter. So when the train stops, Frosty and them jump off because Frosty's like, "Oh shit, I gotta get her to like somewhere warm before she literally dies." So
yeah, that happens.
I
mean, I'm honestly surprised that these kids don't get hypothermia on the reg.
Yeah, well,
well, we never get like a name of the town or location, so it must be in one of those areas that's perpetually cold, and they just are used to it.
Maybe they're in Canada or something. That's why they're able to get a freight train or
that's
a
what
train
I'm saying.
to the North Pole.
That's what I'm saying. They have to be somewhere where like they must be somewhere where it's just cold all the time, or Finland.
Well, they all speak English very well, and I would say they're probably either Canadian or Alaskan, maybe.
No, because there's a train. Well, one of the trains, like destination is Nome, Alaska, and there's also the Klondike and Aurora. So it could potentially be in It might have to be in Canada or Alaska.
Yeah, or like northern Washington State, maybe, or something.
Yeah, so it has to be in those areas. I don't think it would be in Michigan.
No,
Michigan's too far
away. Yeah,
I mean, even though Michigan was like probably a good place to live in the '60s, because like the auto industry was like booming there, and like.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. And now I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free and each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, but then in like the 70s and 80s, it freaking crashed, so you would have been screwed.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. It's unclear. We don't see any Fords, so I guess it wouldn't be in Michigan. So it's got to be. It's got to be in.
Let's just say
it's got to be in. Yeah, let's just say that. But it's one of those three locations.
So, they're wandering, and again, they're on a train. They could just go to a different car, like you could put her in the like caboose or something. But no, instead they're gonna wander through this frozen wasteland. So and the sun is quickly setting. It's getting colder. She's literally dying. So Frosty has the bunny Hocus go and talk to the woodland animals to build a campfire. So they do, and she warms up. But Frosty can't get close to the fire. So the new plan, because the train is now gone and they can't walk to the North Pole, is to get Santa Claus to come and save her and bring Frosty with him. And I guess Santa is planning on visiting the forest animals, so that's like their whole thing.
That must be like his first stop or something.
Maybe? Yeah, maybe.
If I were Santa, I would probably visit the animals first, or maybe he hangs out with the animals for a while and also tries to stop the birth of the Antichrist if he's in Colorado. But that's another story altogether.
Maybe he's Santa Christ.
Maybe he is Santa Christ. I don't know. But yeah, I guess if I was Santa, the first place that I would stop is just to like visit the woodland critters before give all these like pain in the ass kids their Christmas presents.
Yeah,
and just load up on cookies. Maybe
he loads up. Maybe he like kills the animals and loads up on meat for the ride.
I was gonna say that could be a thing too. Maybe he really like. Maybe he
Maybe
kind
it's
of
Bill
just.
Goldberg.
It could be Bill Goldberg. He is bald, this Santa, so
That's true.
it is possible.
This is the
Um,
prequel to Santa's Sleigh, confirmed.
yes. Yeah, I don't know what else would like if. Well, he could also recruit reindeer from. He's got to recruit like other reindeer from somewhere. So maybe that's why he visits the woodland critters, so he could just just scout out the reindeer and just see, okay, well, are there any that might make like a suitable force one day? Like, should I bring any reindeer from this part of the woods?
Yeah,
I
maybe.
don't know. I mean, you got to think that he's got to be like this. He's got to be doing like more than just presents on Christmas. If this is the one time that he's going around the world in the year,
I
he's
don't know.
got to.
He's got a whole year to do that shit. Like Christmas is it's go time. He's got to go fucking deliver those presents.
Maybe, or I don't know. But for some reason, he decides to go visit the woodland critters.
Yeah. So the plan is to wait for him. Unfortunately, Professor Hinkle attacks again. So so Frosty fucking does pulls a Mario 64 and sleds on his belly and has Karen ride him
Well, because
through the woods.
what they didn't know was that Frosty was the fastest belly whopper in the world.
Yes.
That's my favorite line in the whole thing. I quote this thing constantly. Well, actually, there's that and Professor Hinkle's last line. Those two are my favorites.
Yeah, so they happen upon a greenhouse that's, I guess, growing poinsettias, which in the middle of nowhere. I don't know why.
I
But
don't understand why the greenhouse is how the greenhouse is there, and it's
maybe it's really
unchecked,
like
unmonitored. Maybe what if it's Santa's greenhouse?
maybe it's Santa's weed factory.
I mean, maybe it's Hocus's weed factory.
That could be. So Frosty brings Karen inside because it's super hot because it's a greenhouse. But then Hinkle comes up and freaking shuts the door and they all get locked inside. So now obviously it's a greenhouse. Frosty pretty much instantly melts. And it's pretty freaking traumatizing. I'm surprised that this was a children's special.
Oh yeah, no,
it's like
no, we
horrible.
were talking about that as we were watching it. Karen is going to need therapy for
Yeah.
years after this.
I watched this with my son and I asked him, "Oh, what'd you think?" He's like, "Oh, I didn't like it." And I'm like, "Why?" Because it was sad. And he's like, "Yes." So I do explain to him that, well, it's okay because Frosty comes back. But yeah, I that was rough for a children's special. So Karen's obviously just horribly distraught that Frosty's dead.
Well, because it's not even just watching him melt; it's slowly watching him. It's the slow, agonizing process of watching it happen.
Yeah.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
I'm sure that will do a number on anybody watching any of their friends melt, but especially a snowman.
Yeah. Luckily,
That is
Santa Claus
suddenly
shows up.
sentient.
And Santa's got. First, he says how Frosty's made of magical Christmas snow, so he'll always come back. And then the door opens and he blows in the snow, and Frosty instantly resurrects because Santa Claus is magic.
And Frosty
Santa Claus is
Jesus.
officially a necromancer.
Frosty is also possibly Jesus. I don't.
Or
he
that could be too.
What if Frosty is a metaphor for Jesus?
Or maybe Santa Claus is Jesus.
Ah, maybe. Or Frosty's his son somehow. I don't know. Right? Would that make Santa Claus an allegory for God because he gives gifts?
That could be.
And Frosty is the one who
resurrects people.
Yeah, and Frosty's only around for a short time, and then he's well, it would be. Does it count as a crucifixion when the rest of the town condemns him?
I don't know. Maybe
Because they don't.
He did die for Karen's sins. I guess.
Sins? What was her sin? Not coming home for dinner like she thought she would?
Yeah, being an idiot, going with a fucking snowman to the North Pole.
What are they teaching them in this school?
Obviously not very much.
Nobody tries to stop them, by the way. It's not like the adults can't see Frosty.
They literally pass a fucking cop, and the cop just doesn't give a shit. He's more fucking. He swallows his whistle because Frosty's alive.
Oh, we'll talk about that. That's part of my theory, by the way.
All right. So Frosty gets resurrected. They're gonna put the hat back on, and then Hank goes like, "No, I want to keep the hat. It's fuck you." And then Santa's like, "No, fuck you, motherfucker."
Well, possession is now. Well, possession was now in Professor Hinkle's hands, so it was okay.
Yeah, but Santa comes in is like, "No, you'll be on the naughty list forever if you don't give the hat back." So, and then also punishes him and forces him to write apologies.
Yes, we do get
in the greenhouse.
We do get one of my other favorite lines, which is, "Oh, that's not fair. No more. We evil magicians have to make a living too. No more trick cards or magic balls or no more anything."
Yep.
Yep. And then, of course, he agrees, and then we get my other favorite line where he's like all perky, and which he might suffer from like bipolar disorder or manic depression.
No, he's a psychotic murderer. Then
he has moves. He has move swings. Like, I think Professor Hinkle really just needs better help, and if we were sponsored by them, we would have a code for you, but we don't. So go get therapy. It's a good idea.
Don't be like Professor Hinkle.
Well, I mean, this was also the '60s where that was frowned upon. So
that's
maybe
true.
He didn't have any.
He might not have had an asylum.
Yeah, he might not have had anywhere to go. Maybe he just needed a friend or a partner or something. But it's too bad. Anyway, then we get my other favorite line of "Goodbye, everyone. Sorry to lose and run. I've got to get busy writing. Busy, busy, busy." And then we never see him for a while. Well, he rejoins them at in the credits.
Yeah.
With a new hat.
Yeah, so he does get a new hat for Christmas.
Yeah, so he does. His redemption arc happens off screen, which I guess is probably really boring because he's just writing I'm very sorry for what I did to Frosty.
I wonder if the credits happens like the next Christmas, and that's why.
Probably because Frosty says I'll be back on Christmas Day, and then we get the parade.
Yeah.
But is it not Christmas Day, or would it be the following day? Because is that we're not? I assume that it's Christmas Eve.
I think it's it's supposed to be like the next year.
I would assume
this whole thing
too.
is that he comes back every Christmas Day.
Yeah, that's my guess. Is that would happen?
Which could easily be made into a horror movie. Maybe we should we should be doing this. There is
the Jack Frost horror movies, which those are fun. But but that's different.
When's Frosty the Snowman going to the public domain so we could actually make an actual Frosty the Snowman horror movie?
Oh, Jesus, that's a good question.
And he comes back every Christmas Day.
Oh, my God. Yes.
That would be amazing.
Yes, it would. When does it? It is not. It was still under. No, I don't. I know that it is still under copyright protection. That's why I'm asking. Oh, 2045.
All right.
Thank you, Reddit.
Let's write it down, and we're gonna in 2045 if the aliens don't invade by then.
Wait a minute. Actually, so the song will be in the public domain in 2045, but I think the appearance of the character will enter in 2064. So we might be dead.
Nah, we might be alive. I'll be 74. It's not that. That's not that bad.
I'll probably. What are you?
By then, I'll probably already cut my head out or cut my brain off and put it into a freaking robot body by then anyway. So
yeah, are you 91 or 90?
90.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'll be 74 by then too. Well, who the hell knows? Anyway.
All right, so that's the story of Frosty.
So if we're both still alive, we should try to get this made. And maybe we should just get our friend Phil And if he's still alive, we can make the damn movie. Well, like maybe we could make it now and just purposely
Just save
have
it
it
until then.
release.
Yeah.
We could put it on like a timed release, and it will just go out the Christmas.
Literally the day that it goes on fucking on public domain, because we'll be so far ahead of the curve, but like beyond anybody is going to be able to make a movie. Like we'll like no one's going to have this planned out like we do.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say we should make it release on Christmas Day, but of that year. But yeah, that works too. The day of also works. And I think the tagline should also just be "He'll be back on Christmas Day." ...
Yeah. So that's the story of Frosty. It's pretty, classic. Everybody, if you haven't seen it, then I don't know where you've been living, under a rock probably. Or if you haven't heard the song, it plays on every freaking like store radio in the country right now. So you've probably heard it at least once, unless you literally live under a rock.
Yes, one of my favorite Frosty related things that I saw, there's a hot sauce that exists called Frosty's Demise. I don't know if it's any good. I had it on my shelf for years because I bought it as a novelty hot sauce, and it's a habanero and I think possibly chipotle. Let me see. Frosty's Demise hot sauce. Oh, somebody can make a recipe for this. Yeah, it's a habanero hot sauce. Habanero and serrano peppers and a bunch of things. I don't know how many let me see how many Scovilles it is. It didn't seem like it was like ridiculously hot, but 10,000 to 50,000 Scovilles, which I don't know what the hell that means, but it's not in the millions, so it's probably fine. I think the ones that are the worst are like in the 100,000s and like millions, so it's not that big of a deal. But it should be fun. But it's like this brown slushy sauce, and on the back of it, it has like a parody of the Frosty the Snowman song, where like the children pour hot sauce on Frosty, and he like melts and dies, and all the children like immediately regret their decisions, and they're traumatized and crying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hoot. It cracked me up. So, if anyone has tried Frosty's Demise, let us know in the comments and tell us, like, what did you have this with, and is it good? Or did you just buy it for the novelty too, and that's also okay. For the people who want to get it, you can just get it at hotsauce.com, and we don't have a deal with them, or any other hot sauce emporium.
Maybe they should. Maybe we should stop plugging these places till they start ponying up some cash.
Maybe they should. Well, once we get to at least 100 YouTube subscribers, because we're on 83 now, I believe, we could at least maybe start like trying to do something.
So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah,
there's that plug. But anyway, I've got some words about Frosty.
Let me say my little thing first, because it's quick.
Okay. All right. Mine's elaborate.
I think that Christopher Moltisanti got inspiration for the character in Cleaver from Frosty the Snowman. Because, the guy from Cleaver is brought back by science, or maybe it's supernatural. So, Cleaver is just Frosty retold in the Sopranos universe.
Okay, I'll buy that.
That's.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, okay. So I think Frosty is. So I was watching this, right? So I was watching this. Let me get my notes. I was watching this the other day, and there's just something. As much as I love Frosty, I have to say, Frosty's a fucking asshole. Okay, listen. Those eyes made out of coal are the eyes of a sociopath. Let me tell you, First of all, how would he know to say happy birthday unless he has done this before and he has overheard someone saying it? None of the children appears that it's their birthday. So how would he know that of these terms? There's no way
happy birthday to Jesus.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't buy that. He also seems to know good and hell well what a thermometer is and all these other things are, despite having just come to life that day and never asking, what's that? He just says, like, he just sees the thermometer go up and he's just like, oh, is that thermometer getting red? And it's like, how would you know what that means unless this has happened to you before? And when Jimmy Durante just says, and Christmas snow is the most magical snow of all, then that's how you know that it's really the Christmas snow that is bringing Frosty to life, and not necessarily the hat. Maybe the snow itself is sentient, and that's exactly my theory. Frosty has in a snowman form. This may be the first time that he is able to have a physical body, as far as a snowman goes, but Frosty has been around for many Christmases and has learned many things through just timeless and careless observation, just by being snow on the ground or the wall or wherever it is that he may be. And since that snow is everywhere, he is able to learn a lot at once. So I think Frosty knows a lot more than he is letting on. Also, Frosty commits many crimes over the course of his alleged first day alive. For starters, he is intentionally seeking the children to take to the North Pole. Now, he claims that he needs to get there so that he can live forever and be with Santa and visit Santa Claus, and Santa will know what to do. But I think Frosty and Santa are in cahoots the entire damn time. So Frosty traffics children across state lines with the intent of international traffic, right? And I'm not even sure, would the feds even be able to get to the North Pole? Unclear.
Probably not. They'd have to send them like the Spec Ops or something.
Exactly. He purposely leads the parade of children through a busy town to cause chaos and distractions. Businesses are ruined. Because you can all we see is like the little like hijinks of people seeing a snowman that's alive being very concerned. So maybe this is not the first time that Frosty has abducted children or that Christmas snow has abducted children, right? So maybe the parents see this and they're like, oh my God, it's happening again. What if this is like the town of Derry? And every 100 or so years, this is what Frosty is like some incarnation of it or something. I don't know. But maybe that part is going a little too far. I'll admit that one. But let me finish. So he terrorizes this whole town. Then we get to the cop. The cop is the only one who gets suspicious of what's actually going on, and he begins to question things. So what happens? He conveniently swallows his whistle. We never get to see what happens to him afterwards, except that the whistle directly affects his speech, where he can only whistle and bob his head in a whistle-like fashion. This is going to cause some kind of an issue, because he's clearly choking on the whistle. And what happens? Does Frosty say, oh, I'll go get an ambulance? Somebody go get an ambulance? Someone call Santa Claus? No, he fucking walks away. Frosty knows exactly that this guy is onto him, so he potentially murders a cop. We don't see what happens. At the very least, this cop needs major surgery and will have to probably retire or go to a desk job where no one can really understand him for the rest of his life. At the very worst, this cop is dead, okay? And it's a small town, so he might be like one of 3 cops that they even have. If they have more than, if he's not the only one, right? So some of these businesses are ruined.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Because Because like she cuts the mustache off of half the guy's mustache off. You imagine that he's gonna be pissed off. She's gonna have to she's not gonna be able to charge him. He's gonna tell his friends. What if she's the only barber in town or something? Now she's screwed. And on top of this, he also he goes to the ticket guy, and the ticket guy, well, while he should not be asleep at his job, that's on him. He also starts like marking up all these tickets that now he cannot use because they've already been stamped. So his boss is going to see this, and they're going to be like, why the hell did you stamp all these tickets? And he's going to say, well, someone came and like set and ordered tickets to go to the North Pole, so I thought it was a big sale, and now we can't make it. I don't know how much ink costs to print all these things in the 60s, and I don't know how far it is to ship it to this town and order it, but this guy is going to be in trouble for something, right? Then on top of that, they stow away on this train, right? And it's not like they go to the caboose, like we said. It's not like they go to the caboose. It's not like they go to like a sidecar or something like that, or they go on top of the train. No, they go he purposely gets this sucker of a kid who, of course, her goddamn name is Karen. What other name would they give this kid? Like, totally believable that a Karen would let this happen to herself. And she walks and he puts her in the coldest possible place to store it. But Frosty only seems to melt when he either is around a thermometer or there's something warm that can potentially kill him within a range. He never seems to be warm when he's inside of the ticket booth, which should probably make him sweat more, just about the same as like being by the thermometer because he's inside. Right. So that's bullshit. Frosty can melt on command, or at least like perspire on command. So
yeah, but was it the ticket booth kind of like outside, like it was like a window? So they weren't actually inside a booth. They were standing outside, and the guy in the ticket booth was inside.
But the heat from the inside should still be enough to make Frosty perspire if a thermometer can do the same thing.
I guess, but it depends on how close he's actually standing to the window.
I might have to take another look at that. But anyway, Frosty has ruined multiple businesses, potentially murdered a police officer, trafficked children across state lines now that he's gone on the caboose with the intent to take them internationally, right? This is quite bad. On top of that, he is potentially planning to kill Karen because she's in this boxcar that he intentionally chose. That is the coldest boxcar. Then then Frosty only decides to leave when Hocus Pocus points this out. Now, as high as a kite as Hocus Pocus may be, he is the one who's keeping Frosty in check the entire time, looking out for everybody.
That's true.
So he might be an informant for Santa, right? Maybe he's an informant, or maybe he's an informant for the feds, right? Maybe the woodland critters are the feds. I don't know.
Hocus is wearing a wire.
Maybe Hocus is wearing a wire, right? And maybe that's why he's so high. He has to cope with this because it's traumatic.
That's why he was in the hat. He was initially spying on fucking on Hinkle.
That could be. This could be like a big reconnaissance mission for Hocus Pocus. So Hocus Pocus is the hero the whole time. Anyway, so Hocus gets them to get out of the freaking boxcar. Frosty does not close the boxcar. So now all of these cakes and desserts and things that are being transported, they're ruined, right? So so add that to the list of Frosty's many offenses on his alleged first day of life, on his birthday, as he would say, right? His happy birthday bash ends up taking them all the way to the forest, and he goes to the animals, and he just says, oh, we should start a fire, but I can't do it. Hocus, maybe you should talk to the animals. AKA, hey, Hocus, why don't you get the fuck out of here while I figure out how to get away? So Hocus does all these things, and they are able to get Karen the fire. But then Professor Hinkle shows up, just cause, and the fastest belly whopper in the world goes down, and they do their thing, and Frosty escapes with Karen, right? Because, of course, He doesn't just say, "Oh, Karen, stay by the fire and warm yourself." He just says, "Oh, come with me and I'll take you to a colder place." Meanwhile, Karen still thinks that she's going to get home in time for supper. Where are the parents in any of this?
Also, Santa Claus was landing there at the Animal Land. So, like,
Yes,
you
why
should have
would
just left
Santa
Karen
know?
behind.
Right. But why would Santa but why would Frosty know? Frosty would have had to know that Santa would be in that general area. Again,
true.
why I think Frosty and Santa might be up to something. Santa needs Frosty to have the hat. Why?
Because Santa needs children's souls to maintain his dominance.
Precisely.
And Frosty is just his forward agent.
What if Karen was a naughty child and Frosty is really Krampus?
Yeah.
See, this is what I mean. Frosty is not as innocent as it makes it out to be. And Professor kind of catches on to this, and Professor Hinkle he just wants the goddamn hat back. He needs to get his mojo back. So Professor Hinkle, he might not make the best decisions, but for God's sakes, the man has a lot of problems mentally.
Well, clearly.
And some physical ailments too. So, I kind of get it why he wouldn't be thinking logically about all of this stuff. Because first of all, if you're going to stow away too, why would you go under the train anyway? And he held on for 4+ hours, at least several hours, right? I can't imagine he must have good stamina. He probably works out. Hopefully that's what keeps him, doing being okay to get through the day. But that's another story altogether. We never got Professor Hinkle's story.
Right.
So we have all of this. Professor Hinkle does the right thing and shuts the door on Frosty. Now, while he's just trying to get the hat back, Santa is like, "Oh no, he's throwing a monkey wrench in my plans. I can't have this." Poor Karen is scarred for life now, but, she was an idiot anyway. And so there was really no saving her or most of the people in that town, to be honest with you. If just so much as one snowman can cause all this damage, I don't really think that this town was worth saving. Anyway, so Santa then gets the hat back by giving Professor Hinkle what could be perceived as an empty threat because he winks after he says it, right? Which means he really didn't give a shit about Professor Hinkle. He just wanted the hat. It didn't really make a difference, right? So this whole time, Frosty just does his thing and and he manipulates all of these people and children into doing all of these things. If not for Hocus Pocus, what the hell would be going on, right? And all the children get returned safely home. So who is this Hocus Pocus? Is he the one who make sure that Karen gets back in time for supper? Or do we not figure out what happens? Does Karen get grounded? Well, I guess not, because and even if she does, she doesn't learn her lesson because she's the first one in line to go parade with Frosty the following Christmas Day. So, again, parental guidance is necessary for these damn kids. And what's up with the kid who decides to try to name Frosty Oatmeal? This child does not look like any of the other kids. He might be an elf.
Yeah.
Right? He might be an infiltrator because why else would it? Because no child would just say, "Oh, let's name him Oatmeal," unless it was an elf and didn't really know what a human name would sound like. So they just guessed because it sounded like that might be a human name.
So Santa.
I think there's a lot more going. Yes, I think there's a lot more going on under the surface, and there's just something about the hat that Santa needs to for his plans, whatever they may be.
World
so
domination.
I think. Probably. So I think Santa and Frosty are in on the job the whole time, and Hocus Pocus is what's keeping everything in check. Because that elf would be spying to make sure that Santa can get the hat, right? And in order to do that, they would just need to get... It's something about the hat from Professor Hinkle. It's not like there's specific... It's not like there's and it's not like any hat is magic. It is specifically that hat that Santa is after.
Mm.
So I think there's a lot more going on, and I think if you watch Frosty the Snowman with this in mind, you will see a much different Christmas special. So, I don't know. I'm on to you, Santa. I'm on to you, Frosty. I think there's something up. Professor Hinkle is misunderstood. I think he's got a lot of problems that everyday life has just hit him in the balls repeatedly, and I think he's just trying to cope, and I think he's just misunderstood. But yeah, I think Hocus Pocus is definitely a spy. But I think this whole thing is, I think it's a big setup.
Could be.
What do you think about Frosty the Snowman? Let us know in the comments, you idiots.
Yeah. Do you think he's Krampus in disguise or some kind of agent?
I don't know. Or is Frosty good, or is Frosty the face of evil? We want to hear from you folks.
Yeah.
God, it's a sick world we're living in. Sick people.
I watched that one again the other day too.
You can't not. I watch it every year when we put up our Christmas present, our Christmas tree. That's our tradition.
Our giant Christmas present. We don't have a tree. We just this is a giant present.
Yeah. Yeah, so honestly, I don't believe Frosty's act for a goddamn second. He knows exactly what he's doing. He does all of this under the guise of, "Oh, I just came to life. It's my birthday, huh?" Yeah, Frosty is full of shit.
Yeah. Well, that's the story of Frosty, everyone.
With that, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, a tip-top tet, a quasi Kwanzaa, and a solemn, dignified Ramadan, everybody. We hope you have very happy holidays and a very, very happy new year.
And a happy Festivus for the rest of us.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Well, we'll probably see you suckers in the new year. Do all the things and enjoy yourselves. This has been Why Does This Exist? I've been Chris.
And I've been Rob.
And remember, question everything.
Good night, everybody.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.